Welcome to Easy Money MMA. Let's look at last week's result. Yeah, Kevin Vallejos, just like what I expected, our biggest play of the week, 4 units, completely outclasses his opponent, and his chin is also proven, so very safe bet to put on big units. If you can survive 3 rounds of John Silva, Danny Silva should be no problem at all. Yeah, very unfortunate that Matheus Rebecki didn't pull through. I thought he won the fight pretty clearly. He landed the better shots, but because he has so much scar tissue on his face from fighting Orobai, so he was cut open so easily. I feel like that was the reason why he looked like he took more damage, but he was actually the way cleaner fighter. If you look at the strike counts, he was outstriking Chris Duncan a lot. And as I expected, he was able to negate Chris Duncan's takedown and grappling. Yeah, unfortunate that didn't go our way. Yeah, Esteban Ribovic, very comfortable win. Tatsuro Taira, playing 1 unit on him was very comfortable. Yeah, he's not a good matchup for someone just jumping at short notice. I think he has one of the best grappling in the game. To be able to control Brandon Royval like that on his last performance was very impressive. So let's keep the game train rolling for this week. I'm gonna give you guys 2 confident bets. This is gonna be our main parlay piece. So the first one will be Christian Leroy Duncan. His performance against Gregory Rodriguez, even though he lost, didn't look so bad in hindsight, seeing Gregory just completely dominated Hernandez. If you look at Christian, he's a very good athlete. He's very fast. He's very technical. He's very powerful as well. I think he's just quite talented. And against someone who's washed like Eric Anders, that should be no problem for him at all. So yeah, very comfortable to play 2.5 units on him. And if you guys followed me last week, we already parlayed 2 units of him with Kevin Vallejos. This should be a lock for this week. The other position we're looking at is Elijah. I feel like this should just be a very clear outclass. He's definitely like a prospect to really look out for. If you look at his past performance, you can see very, very clear talent in that. I don't think his opponent really has a chance. So the odds really does do him justice. I would parlay up to 3 units on him for this week. Okay, so let's get on to our parlay pieces. So the first one will be Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg was supposed to fight Hyun Sung Park, which is quite a similar matchup to Ode Osborne. A dangerous striker, don't have to worry about the grappling and wrestling really. So yeah, this should be he should be very prepared for this matchup, and he should be able to dominate when it comes to wrestling and grappling. I saw when he was able to control Alejandro Costa, who's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He was able to cage dominate him for the whole round. I feel like if he doesn't like it on the feet, he should be able to get his way when it comes to wrestling and grappling. And also, Ode Osborne is coming off short notice, so I think this should be a pretty easy win for Erceg. I mean, he lost against Moreno, but it was quite competitive. He also won like 1 or 2 rounds in my opinion. He also beat Pantoja in my opinion. He did much more damage than Pantoja. He's definitely a lock in my opinion. If he doesn't get caught like right away with some really lucky shot, he should win this pretty easily. So I will parlay him for up to 1.5 unit. Okay, our next bet will be Hernandez. I feel like his style will be very hard to deal with in that 5-round fight. I feel like even though Dolidze has pretty good power, but after the first round, I feel like he can just drag him into deep waters, you know, like test his cardio. If you look at what he was able to do with Michel Pereira, he did not slow down at all. Still picking up and throwing him on the ground on round 5. I feel like he's going to really suffocate Dolidze with the pressure. But then again, Dolidze is a very crafty grappler as well. So I'm also not willing to put down big units on this. But I think half a unit to parlay this with Elijah or COD is a very comfortable position. Okay, our next bet of the week is John Matsumoto. Yeah, John Matsumoto, I feel like he lost to Brad Katona. That wasn't a super good look. But then if you look at him fighting Rob Font, you can see that he made massive improvements. I feel like that fight was a robbery as well. I thought he pretty clearly won 2 rounds. Yeah, Rob Font won the 3rd round, but he won 2 rounds before that. Showed really good grappling, good wrestling, and a good variety of strikes. I feel like Miles John is just very one-dimensional and kind of relies on a power like overhand, you know, just loading up on a shot. But when did you see him knock anyone out, you know? Like Miles John has been fighting pretty low-level competition and still not able to finish guys like Cody Gibson, and was completely outclassed by Felipe Lima last fight. Felipe Lima made him look like he just doesn't belong there, you know? Yeah, I don't think Miles Johns will ever be a top 10 contender. So yeah, dropping 1 unit on John Matsumoto is a pretty good position. However, he's kind of hittable as well. So I do worry a little bit about just getting caught by those big overhands, but dropping 1 unit to parlay him feels very comfortable. And I got him around minus 300. It's still around that. That still feels really good. So our next parlay piece of the week will be Uros Medic. Yeah, if you look at Uros Medic, he's actually quite talented if you look at the tape studies. Even though he got KO'd like instantly the last fight, you know, we haven't really seen what he's able to do because the fight literally finished right away. And I guess Orobai, that was also a short notice fight. He actually clipped Orobai pretty well and did a lot of damage until he was grapple fucked by him. You know, that was a short notice fight. He didn't really have time to prepare for a grappler. So then like 2 of the fights he did, we didn't really get to see his improvements, but I feel like we're gonna see a much more talented striker than Urbina. If you look at Urbina's last fight, he doesn't look very good. His striking looks so sloppy. Like it's not sharp, not fast at all, and looks slow. He just doesn't look like he's UFC caliber, to be honest. And he was out for 1.5 years, also because of an injury. But then again, this is also like we haven't seen Urbina for a long time. We haven't seen Magic actually show his talents, show his skills for a long time. So I'm also not willing to put in big units on him. I will be willing to parlay him for half a unit. Okay, so the last parlay piece I'm going to give you is from the event after this one. It's going to be Chase Hooper. You can parlay him with Elijah or COD. That's up to you. I feel like he's just really quite talented. You see his improvements in his striking, super high level grappling, one of the best grapplers in the division. He was able to completely dominate Jim Miller, who's a pretty crafty vet in the grappling department. And you also see that Anthony Hernandez, I don't know, he just doesn't have the finishing potential. He was controlled by Damon Jackson for a very long time. Damon Jackson was able to take him to the ground and kind of just hold him there. And if Damon Jackson can't do that, Chase Hooper can do that much better. So I'm also willing to put up to 3 units on Chase Hooper. I got him at minus 230. His odds at minus 280 is still a pretty good price tag. I would also use him to parlay as well. Okay, so that's about it for this week. Best of luck, guys, and I'll see you guys next week.